Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I want to talk about the two gameplay updates that went live with patch 7.19, the one for Xin Zhao and then the one for Azir. I think both of these actually are fairly decent. I know the community's opinion is very mixed, especially on the Xin Zhao one. A lot of people are saying he feels so much worse, but I actually really like the Xin Zhao rework, and I will get to it, but I just want to say, in general, my first few thoughts are, I do like the reworks, I like the direction they're going in, maybe not necessarily numbers, but I do like in the way Riot has taken these characters. So first, let's lead off with the Xin Zhao rework. I actually really like this one, especially from a conceptual standpoint. Xin Zhao is so much less of a hit every single button character. He actually has a skill shot. In fact, there have been a lot of times I miss my W in this game because I'm used to just pressing W along with Q and E when I go in, and I don't get the final poke on the W because I'm not even thinking about it. And that's like an important thing to know about the character now, is that there is decision making to be made, especially with the ultimate as well. A lot of times you're going to want to use it for the knockback to single out a target, but sometimes it's a good defensive tool if you're trying to retreat. In fact, there's a point in this game where I'm running away from a bunch of enemies and I should have popped ultimate so they couldn't hurt me with their ranged attacks, and I didn't because I didn't think about it. And then I was like, wait, this is actually a really solid defensive tool now for Xin Zhao, because you can kind of press it. Sure, you don't hit anybody, but you also can't be damaged from a range, and that's really useful. It also has some really interesting interactions with other champions. So if a Zed all-ins you with his ultimate and then teleports back to his shadow, and his shadow is outside of your zone, Deathmark popping does no damage to you. So it gives Xin Zhao a very interesting dynamic in team fights. And I don't think fundamentally his core pattern has changed. He still pretty much wants to go in on somebody and try to relentlessly drag them down with a bunch of auto attacks. But it's a much more healthy way to do it because he's not solely based on the auto attacks. Now, I think that, and I think a lot of his power has been shifted around decently as well. The E granting attack speed when you dash, I think is a really nice way of doing it, because he can still access the tons of attack speed he gets normally, but it's not in a way that's degenerate. He doesn't just get it by pressing a button. Instead, he has to be doing something aggressively. So he has to use that dash, but then if he uses it just for the attack speed, he doesn't have it to gap close, he doesn't have it to potentially escape with, he doesn't have that tool in his arsenal anymore. So I really do like that, and I think I like, in general, Xin Zhao's new passive. The old passive just didn't have that much gameplay behind it, but this one, because of the bonus damage and healing every third hit, and because your W counts for stacks, it gives you an interesting way of clearing the jungle, where you want to save that third hit for the sweep, so when you're clearing AoE camps, you're getting as much damage onto all the little guys as possible. Just in general, I think the rework has taken him a very good direction. Numbers-wise, maybe he's not fully there. I think W's damage is pretty piddly, but just in general, the gameplay is there. And I think the enhanced animations did so much for Xin Zhao. He feels more fluid than he did before. He feels really good to play now, so I think that's a good thing. I may keep playing him in the future. I may not. We'll find out. Next up, I wanted to talk about the Azir rework. I am Mastery 7 Azir. I've been playing this champion since release. I love this guy. The rework I was very hesitant about because the reduced ranges were really going to hurt Azir, but I think Riot did a good job of compensating Azir for the lost range on his auto-attacking and on his Q, and I think they made a lot of other really good quality of life changes. Getting the shield immediately was a really good change for Azir, because it means that he feels like he can use the E more aggressively, and it has a much better AP scaling, so it feels like a good shield now. Before, you kind of hit a guy and it stopped your dash, which is really crucial for Azir, because now he's not getting where he wants to go, but then he got this piddly little shield thrown on that's like, yeah, so you didn't get to dash to safety, here's like a 50 health shield, you're still gonna die. Whereas now, getting the big shield when you start dashing is great, and it's also a big shield. Now, it's limited duration, so Azir can't just kind of be spamming E around and getting this big shield all the time, but it does mean that Azir, in a pinch, will have it to work with. The ultimate change, I haven't really noticed too far. I'm still not entirely a fan. I think it makes Azir too vulnerable to certain champions, but I'll have to live with it. That's just a change that Riot have decided to make, and I don't necessarily know if I agree with it yet or not. I will have to keep playing Azir, but naturally I am a little bit biased because I do play a lot of Azir, so we'll see how I feel about that. In general, though, I think his core playstyle of summon soldiers and dash them at people is the same. And I really didn't feel like Azir was that far different from how he's been before. Even his playstyle in lane hasn't been that far removed. Now, the biggest thing that, to me, that's changed about Azir is that I feel like super far range DPS Azir isn't really much of a thing anymore. I think you pretty much have to be playing him as a more aggressive playmaking mid laner now, and you can't kind of rely on him as just a backline damage dealer. So someone like Xerath, for example, pretty much just wants to sit as far back as possible and hit people as often as possible. He doesn't want to ever be moving in close. Whereas Azir used to play like that, but now, because of the reduced ranges, I feel like he almost has to be moving in on someone in order to do damage, especially given that he doesn't have... His soldier damage has a pretty large fall off against targets beyond the first. So it really limits Azir's ability to do AoE damage over time, which obviously was part of the reason he was so busted, but it does limit his ability to do that, and I feel like you do want to be looking for Shurima shuffles in the middle of a fight, as opposed to just kind of standing as far back as possible and right-clicking people to death. So I think that will take a little bit of getting used to if you weren't already that kind of Azir player, but if you were already someone who looks for potential picks and plays with Shurima Shuffle, you'll definitely find it on the new Azir. I think he has the better tools for it. I also really enjoyed the change they made, the couple of changes they made. First, for the soldier attack indicator, how Azir knows how close he has to be for his soldiers to attack. That was a really nice quality of life change. And then the attack speed steroid when you have 3 or more soldiers out. I thought it was going to be worthless. Turns out it's incredibly strong. 60% attack speed when you have Berserker's Greaves and a Nashor's Tooth is a lot of attack speed. You burn down objectives when you're Azir, and if your opponents are not paying attention, you will stab the hell out of them in the middle of a team fight. It's incredible, and it's not that hard to keep it going in the middle of a team fight, because as long as you keep summoning a third soldier, you can keep the buff going. So it feels really, really nice. It's a good steroid, and it really does make you feel like you get that third soldier, and now I have the potential to carry the team fight. So all in all, I have really been enjoying the new Azir. I think the biggest thing for me is that I feel like his bully matchups will be much less, and I think he's going to be a lot more vulnerable outside of playing against another mid-ranged mage. So something like Orianna, Azir can do well into now because he does have a reasonable amount of success against her, but I don't feel like in the longer range matchups Azir will fare as well. Someone like Syndra or Cassiopeia will probably take a dump on him now. So those are my thoughts. I'm still kind of feeling it out for myself, but I do think that the direction is probably fine. I think that Riot probably know what they're doing with Azir, and I think that his kit now has enough tools for me to be okay with the things that were removed. So all in all, I think that I will have to spend a little bit more time on it, but it's probably all right. Anyways, those are just my opinions personally. I would love to hear what you guys think. Go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below what you guys are thinking of the new Xin Zhao rework or the new Azir. If you enjoy the video, go ahead and leave a like. And if you really enjoy the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And if you're hungry for more Grab the Lantern content, you can go ahead and check out my blog, grabthelantern.tumblr.com. I upload an article just about each and every single day for your pleasure. Anyways, thank you all so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I will talk to you all later.